Good afternoon, summoners, and welcome to the grand finals of the LVL, live right now at Garena 4, Cinema 6. My name is Vulcan. With me is Gisto, your shoutcasters for the opening game of our Best of 5 series.
Yeah, and of course, history will be made today, Vulcan. Only 2 teams remain in the LVL who will be crowned the champion of the first ever term. I'm super excited to see.
I just love how the LVL has started over the 7 teams. We are down to our last 2. Who will crown the champions? It's up for us to see and to witness history being made here.
Yeah, but let's go ahead and talk about the road both these teams took in their way to the final here. Of course, UST and TUP have faced off in the final week of the group stage of the LVL, and it was actually UST that came out on top in the final tiebreaker, which means they got the first seed and instantly into the final, where TUP, they had to face AMA first in the semi-final, and they won that series 3-1, and now they have one more opponent if they want to win the championship here.
If we recall correctly from the group stages of the LVL, the Teletigers actually faced up against TUP when it comes to the tiebreaker, and Teletigers actually won that. So could this be a foreshadow of what's going to happen in the finals today, or will TUP change their strategy and fight once more against the Teletigers to grab that championship? But for UST Teletigers, as Uwomi said during the interview, he wants to bring home the championship that he feels that his school deserves.
Yeah, and I definitely think that UST has the tools to bring home that championship. But looking at TUP, about their team, I think this might be the last time we'll see this roster actually play together, because some players are graduating, moving on from the collegiate scene. So a lot on the line for both these teams really today.
When it comes to, let's say, yes, I have to agree with you on that, because when it comes to the first ever LVL, everyone, I mean, don't you want to immortalize your name to be first, let's say, when it comes to roster, champions, first LVL champions? That has a nice ring to it.
Yeah, it definitely has a nice ring to it. Parang sobrang ganda ng legacy na mabubuo mo pagka ikaw ngayon nanalo dito. Pero, of course, let's talk about the strengths of both of these teams. From TUP, you can't discuss their team without talking about their top laner, Asidia. One of the most solid players, and right here we see his stats. You see his most champions play, generally playing carries, and he is the player that TUP tends to play around, where in contrast, Cell from UST tends to play more tanky champions. So I wonder, will this contrast in styles be the deciding factor? Because like I mentioned, TUP tends to play around Asidian, whereas UST don't tend to play around topping. Usually it's just tanks. Let's see, can Cell survive the lane versus Asidia?
I'm pretty sure he can, because he does go onto the tank lane, but when it comes to top lane matchup, it's really just going to show that Asidia is somehow the player that you need to watch out for and to respect. But when it comes to the mid lane matchup, we did see his flashy plays during the group stages, Chisto.
Yeah, we did see how good he can be on his Azir. Let's see, will UST give him the luxury of playing that champion again? But like you mentioned, the mid lane for UST is strong as well. Sarah is a very good mid laner. I think he matchups well versus Bam.
Well, when it comes to, let's say, recap of what happened over the history of the collegiate esports, when it comes to, when I heard from Iwami himself, Sarah actually plays really well against Bam, but for first time ever, I think he's experiencing that Bam's growth as a player.
Yeah, of course, throughout the LVL, we saw Bam's growth as a player, like you mentioned. He has been getting better, and hopefully now that the final, it's time for him to show up.
I'm pretty sure he will when it comes to being in a live stage here. I mean, wouldn't that excite anyone playing on the stage right now for their fans, for the school's name?
Yeah, it can excite them, Vulcan, pero andun din yung factor na you are on stage. The spotlight is on you. There's pressure that can be applied. So some players, they don't shine under that pressure. Let's see, tingnan natin ano kaya mangyayari sa kanila today.
But one thing that I really loved about for TVP side was Asidia, yes, but also the jungler. Someone a player you have to watch out for, Sisa.
Yeah, I think Za, like we know, he is the heart of TUP, like I want to call him, because he's the main shot caller. He's the one who decides where the team goes, what they want to do, and his decisions so far have gotten them to the final, so maybe he can get them a championship today.
Who knows? And I think all of you guys are excited to see who will win the first ever LVL champions. Will it be UST or will it be TUP? I'm pretty sure we have fans right now here live to cheer them on. But when it comes to the pressure, the changes in the game itself, we'll have to see if they're ready to face off against each other. Not to mention the, in a way, when you're playing on stage, it's a different vibe, I can tell you that.
Yeah, and you mentioned the changes to the game itself. It was quite a lot of time until they played again for this final. We are on patch 8.3. A lot of changes have occurred. I think it would really affect the mentality because, like I mentioned, it has been a long time since their group stage match.
when it comes to the group stage match, I just loved how for UST they used the Carrots. But unfortunately for this finals, I think we'll be seeing a Spiegel playing, which I think he is a more calculated player and knows how to go in with Ricks. Pero si Carrots, he always goes in ham, but still shows results. We did see him a lot in the highlights.
Alam mo, part of the reason why I think UST decided to start Spiegel over Carrots because it is a best of 5 and there's a lot of pressure when you're in a best of 5 series. I think UST understands that Spiegel is the more experienced player and that might help them in the long run because you need to adapt in a best of 5. You can't just play for the first game. You need to win 3 to overcome your opponent. So that's very important factor.
When it comes to calculation, right? Knowing your opponent better. But for TP's bot lane, si Navi, how can you say about their bot lane dynamic, Gisto?
I think their bot lane can be very good if they're given the tools and the resources to shine. But given TUP's playstyle, they tend to play around the top lane a lot. So their bot lane isn't given that much of a spotlight where all they really need to do is be consistent and then play around the leads that Asidia gets.
It really comes down to Asidia to really perform for his team. I mean, we did see his champion pool. A lot of players do respect Asidia. And when it comes to his pool, it's more on duelist types.
Yeah, it's more on duelist split pushers and carries, where like we saw earlier in contrast to UST style where it's tanks in the top lane. You really see the opposites in both teams where UST tends to play around bot lane and TUP plays around top lane. So let's see, will that opposite be a major factor deciding this best of 5?
But at least when it comes to the top lane, medyo teamfight oriented yung mga picks ng UST, pero sa kay TUP, they're really going for the powerful split push and the pressure on the side lane.
And it's very difficult to deal with split pushes and good split pushes as well. I think it's safe to say at this point that the CJ is probably one of the best collegiate top laners out there. So I'm really excited to see how he will perform given that the spotlight is all on him at the moment.
But to the viewers out there right now, how do you guys feel about it? Let us know how you feel. Who are you rooting for? Is it for UST? Let me hear you say if you are rooting for UST. Wala pa rin eh.
Wala pa rin? I mean, we have to wait for the match to start. I think the hype will build up once we actually load onto the Rift and once they see the players in action, things will really boil down and really heat up.
So we'll be loading onto the drafting phase pretty shortly because when it comes to planning and executing all their plans, it comes down to the drafting, which is very important.
I think one of the factors as well that will help both these teams when it comes to drafting is the presence of their coaches. Having that coach that's the leadership figure can really help you plan and strategize, and it helps the players not mind as much. They just focus on playing, where all the strategy and game plans for the match goes to the coaches.
It's really hard to say that when it comes to coaching. It's a very difficult position.
Yeah, definitely.
You have a lot of problems. You have a lot of things that sometimes is out of your control.
Yeah, definitely. I've experienced this myself as a coach, and I've worked with some of the college players before. And yeah, like you mentioned, as a coach, you can only do so much after the pick and ban phase. All you could really do is give your players that proper mindset, that healthy mindset where once you load onto the Rift, like you mentioned, things are out of your control. It's up to the players.
It's up to execution because no matter how things look really good on paper, it all comes down to how you play it on the Rift. A lot of outside, elements fall into play because we see a lot of players who are really good on their own, but when it comes to playing as a team, playing in a different field, the pressure, and knowing what's at stake here. I mean, the first ever LVL championship at stake here, you want to solidify your name. You want to immortalize your team's name and your roster.
Yeah, you definitely want that. And for both teams, like we mentioned, a lot on the line for them. Let's see, will they execute though as we load onto the Rift?
But before that, you still made drafting piece pa rin tayo. Pero
I'm excited though.
but we would like to take this opportunity to, thank our sponsors because this would not have been possible without them. This is brought to you by Garena in partnership with Ayala Mall Cinemas and sponsored by Globe Gamers, Globe Business, and Movie Snack Bar, and also two are sponsored for Lenovo and Intel.
Yeah, and now we're headed into the drafting phase, like you mentioned, Vulcan, and we talked about Bams here, and looks like UST won't be giving him the luxury of playing that pick. It will be denied. The Camille as well, and the Rek'Sai being banned out. Of course, Camille, one of the strongest top lane champions at the moment. They don't want Asidia to deal a lot of that split push pressure. Let's see what UST will jump for here. Jarvan? This is actually pretty good if they pick up the Jarvan because this is Zach's most played champion throughout the group stages, and I do believe he is still undefeated on this pick. UST will deny that. A lot of top tier junglers left, and Alistar being hovered by TUP.
But for this time in this game for TUP, they're banning out the Tristan, the Zoe, and the Rakan. But yes, the reason why the Rek'Sai is banned is because I think for UST, they know the capabilities of Za when it comes to using that Rek'Sai.
Yeah, they do know that Za is a very scary Rek'Sai player, so banning that out and then denying the Jarvan as well means that UST definitely has a good game plan here. Let's see what TUP will take for their second pick.
What are they working with here? Because for UST, they are prioritizing the Jarvan. And for TP's side, they're picking up the Varus and Alistar.
Yeah, Varus and Alistar, very strong bot lane duo, a lot of kill potential, a lot of CC, especially once Varus hits level 6, he gets Chain of Corruption. It'll just incentivize TUP to play around the bot lane if they want to go that route. But UST will be hovering around this Nami, will be locked in for Crescent, no surprise there.
Very interesting pick from UST because we're seeing a Nami and a Jarvan being paired together. We have the lockdown and a disengage. But for TUP's side, they still have the Alistar, which is, in a way, a powerful disengage tool. Also, a very powerful CC support.
Okay, Lucian being locked in here by UST. There was a slight buff to Lucian where the second shot of his passive now deals more crit damage. I wonder though, can this still be a flex pick because we have seen Lucian mid, we have seen Lucian top. Can we see him AD carry in this game? It's still up in the air though, Vulcan, as TUP have locked in the Galio for the mid lane.
And now we're seeing UST banning out the Skarner. Skarner right now has been rising in popularity when it comes to the solo queue, where we do see sometimes Skarner running the Unsealed Spellbook or perhaps the Predator.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, that is a very strong champion and will be denied. TUP though, they need a top laner or a jungler here.
Let's see though.
Sejuani is still available if Za wants to play that champion, and it is locked in. There, right there, the Sejuani. Very good matchup into the Jarvan. But the response from UST is the Shen, probably to the top lane. Another tank for Cell, trying to survive the lane versus Acedia.
So the question is, it would be, yes, final pick right there, it will be a bot lane Lucian, not the mid lane one. So Corki will be going to the mid lane against the Galio. And for the last pick, it would be a Gnar into Shen.
Yeah, I don't think we're surprised that Acedia is not playing a tank here. He's playing another split pusher, another thing that can really bully lane. Of course, Gnar into Shen, very difficult matchup, Vulcan, because Gnar as a ranged champion can constantly pressure the Shen into just backing off and zoning him from the minion. And this is classic TUP where Acedia is on a winning lane. Let's see, can he transition this into the very strong split push style that we always credit TUP for.
And this is going to be the summary of our first draft for our first game. UST Teletigers on the blue side versus TUP Monstrum Belprodigium on the red side. Seeing how we are really excited to see what will happen in game one, the opening games. Who are you rooting for? Let us know with the hashtag USTWin or the hashtag TUPWin. I mean, if you're gonna go on social media and then, take a selfie with your friends, make sure you let everyone know what's happening right now. A historic moment in Collegiate Esports.
Yeah, kailangan mo talaga ipaalam sa kanila na nanonood ka nitong LVL Final live dito sa Glorieta for Cinema 6. Pero yeah, gaya na sinabi mo, this is a very historic moment. Only 2 teams remain, but we still have a lot of games. This is a best of 5, so maybe we can go 5 games today, who knows?
Now it's going to be very interesting because if it's a 5 games, you know that the excitement will not stop. When it's a full 5 games, who knows, we might see a very extended game, maybe a back and forth and a give and take. But this LVL finals would not have been possible, so to our sponsors, we'd like this time to thank, in partnership with Ayala Cinemas and sponsored by Lenovo, Intel, Globe Gamer, Globe Business, and Movie Snack Bar.
Yeah, pero let's hold off on that for now, Vulcan, as we head on to the Rift for Game 1 of this best of 5. It is UST Teletigers on the blue side facing off versus TUP Monstrum Belprodigium. Let's go.
This is going to be a great start for the LVL Finals. Let's get straight to it, and who knows, we might already see a cheese from UST or TUP, but knowing that this is the finals, you want to be careful.
Yeah, and it looks like that early vision will spot out the bot lane of UST. It seems that it is point defense at the start for both these teams, just guarding the entrances to their jungle, denying the invades for vision.
We're more seeing in a lane where we're seeing UST having this global ultimates when it comes to the Shen Stan United. We also see that on TUP's side for the Galio. But the matchup in the mid lane is kind of difficult for the Corki against the Galio unless, we see Sa on his Sejuani intervening the lanes.
I actually disagree with your point where it will be a difficult matchup for the Corki because, let's face it, Galio won't have kill pressure on the Corki unless, of course, he builds full AP. But The only kill pressure Bam has here is if he is able to get close and use his Ignite to really get on that Corki. But generally in this matchup, Corki will have a very fine time just farming out.
But it's the fact that I'm seeing this guy running the Electrocute and the Ignite, so who knows, we might see some hiccups happening in the mid lane. But yes, that's actually a good point that you brought up there, Gisto. The kill pressure in the Galio is really non-existent.
Yeah, and if there was one matchup here that I would really want to talk about, it's actually in the bot lane because we see Lucian here. We see a barrier in heal bot lane even though the Ardent Sensor meta is practically dead. I'm very excited to see how this will pan out for UST because this is definitely bringing something new into the meta.
Interesting, because what do you mean by the Ardent Sensor being dead? Can you enlighten us on that, Gisto?
Well, we all know the time where all supports would practically rush
were the good
the
times.
Ardent Sensor and the bot lane would run barrier heal. And given that they have both defensive summoners, I think that will reduce the kill pressure that TUP has immensely.
And when it comes to bot lane, the Infernal Drake is the first Drake, but right now we're seeing some babyface action here. He does block up the escape from Bat. He's very low. Will that be a kill for first blood? Goes go and one hit for the first blood.
Yeah, UST strikes for first blood. Bam! I wonder why you didn't use your flash. You could have possibly gotten away from that gank, but hesitation from Bam costs him his life. Now the Corki has this slight lead. Let's see, can it snowball more?
I mean, he was really holding on to that summoners. Maybe he could have survived. He was disciplined enough, but right now, bot lane seems really close to that. But there is that heal for the save.
Yeah, I like the early aggression coming from UST. No hesitation. There's no more feeling out process, Vulcan. They know what they want to do, and that's just run at TUP.
I mean, this is a team that played in the tiebreaker, so they know what they have to deal out. So this is not their first time facing off against each other.
Yeah, but let's look at the top lane right now. It is Asidia with the guy with the lead for TUP, even though his other lanes are currently struggling a bit at the moment. He is the consistent guy. He is the guy that has to win lane if TUP wants to play towards their win conditions. Let's see, can TUP play around this Gnar even more?
It's kind of difficult because we're seeing the first ball falling in the hands of Sarah, especially on this Corki. And he immediately goes back and buys the longsword and the call.
Yeah, the call will just help accelerate his GPM here. Of course, Corki will be building into that Trinity Force. I wouldn't be surprised to see him base and get a Sheen perhaps. I don't think he needs to build a Hex Trigger, but Babyface's recall will be cancelled.
Oh, he might be choked up here in the bot lane. We're seeing Xpiegel intervening, but forcing Facade to flash away. Prison got close, but still, that's going to be a Xpiegel picking up one kill.
Xpiegel has red buff.
Not yet over yet. We're seeing some action in the bot lane. Miko trying to buy some time, but the red buff falling in the hands of Xpiegel. That's going to hurt the bot lane of TUP.
Yeah, that will definitely hurt TUP, especially if you're giving up kills to two very snowbally champions. If Lucian and Corki get ahead, I really don't see how TUP can deal with this because their members will just fall down like flies.
And when it comes to a good lead, I think for UST, they have it right now, but for TUP to fall behind, it's not that of a stranger to them. They know how to play against a team that has an edge over them, but for the early phase, we're seeing UST really performing here.
Yeah, they are really performing. They're really coming out of the gate swinging here, already picking up 2 kills in their name. They've opened up around 1k gold lead here. Let's see, can they snowball this even more? Because like I mentioned previously, their champions are very snowbally, especially in mid and bot lane, where top lane, all Cell has to do is to survive, and once he hits level 6, provide that global pressure with his Stand United.
And we did talk about Asidia on the top lane with split pushing champions on a North. So even though Cell does get to level 6 with the Stand United, I don't think for Asidia, he will still do what he loves doing best, pushing the side lanes.
Yeah, it'll definitely be difficult for Cell in the early phases to deal with this Gnar, but once he survives this, once he gets his armor items, I think he'll be able to survive a 1v1 versus the Gnar.
We'll see, because the Shen has to go quickly, but it's difficult knowing that he's up against a Gnar, always pushed against his lane, and even though Cell wants to respond with the Stand United, won't in the end, that will cost him a lot. I mean, first turret is still at stake here.
Yeah, first turret is at stake, but his other lanes are winning. Mid lane and bot lane are winning for UST, so if he sacrifices his own lane for the benefit of his team, I think that'll be definitely good for the Teletigers.
You gotta look at the bigger picture when you're on stage here in the LVL finals. Every move you make, everyone will see it, and it's the smallest mistake. I'm pretty sure the team will spot it out and really punish them.
Yeah, and I think that's also UST understanding the roles of each member because they respect Asidia. They know he's a good top laner, and all they really needed to give Cell here is a matchup where if he survives, he's still gonna be relevant.
Looks like Bam is really having a really difficult time in the mid lane. He did start with a Doran's ring.
Oh,
Engage
action bot lane.
Major. He does get the Aqua Fist. Catches low on health. He's still willing to risk his life. Flashes in for the stun, but Spiegel is fighting back. Low on health. Ignite his ticket. He still survives. Stand United comes in for the help. Sa tries to back away, but Cell is here.
Yeah, it's 4-0 in favor of the UST Teletigers. We mentioned the Shen, even though he is behind. Look at the bigger picture, Vulcan. He will use his Stanya to save his team regardless of the early numbers advantage that is denied by UST's top laner.
And he will recall he will not use the teleport just yet. Who knows? We're still sitting at City pushing away in the top lane. But right now, bot lane,
They're gonna
UST,
dive.
they're going to dive. Navi, Ho on hell, but the stopwatch is there. Will it be enough? No, it's not.
Masterfully executed by UST.
Oh,
actually,
Caldo, the turret!
yeah, the ramp up damage from the turret unfortunately will take down.
Oh, looks like the TUP squad, they want to return the favor, but Babyface, he does back off.
Yeah, almost a clean dive, like I mentioned, for UST. Unfortunately, the tower damage ramped up too much, and I think Espiegel kind of stuck around for too long. But looking at all of that, Asidia actually burned his teleport to try to respond bot lane, and now without the teleport, the split push pressure on Nar is greatly reduced. So moving on towards this mid-game, like we mentioned, USD very snowbally champions, right? So we see the Lucian has base picked up a Bilgewater Cutlass. It looks like he won't be going for the crit build, even though crit was the stat that was buffed for Lucian. He's going for probably Blade of the Routine Black Cleaver combo here. So I wonder, why is this the build going for Spiegel?
Because he's right now, I'm pretty sure for USD's bot lane, they're doing really, really well. And the way that they're building up is more on dueling type, I would say.
To be honest though, crit would be the more snowbally option given that they are way ahead. Something like an Essence Fever probably would have benefited them more, but they are still ahead. Let's see, can they use this lead to gain even more versus TUP?
What a fast game we're seeing right now. I mean, nearing our 9-minute mark, the kill score is 5-1. Gold lead in favor of the Teletigers. Just a 2,000 lead, but note that the first Drake, everyone, is the Infernal Drake. You know why you see UST pressuring TUP, because the first Drake is the Infernal Drake.
Yeah, and that definitely helps a team that is ahead. It will just boost their damage stats. And since they have so much pressure in the bot lane, and since Sarah is pushing strong mid lane, there's really no way that TUP can respond to this to even set down vision, because if they try to move forward, UST will just destroy them.
Oh, look at the pressure right now on the bot lane of TUP. They need to survive this one.
Yeah.
And still, Babyface, he keeps visiting the bot lane.
Yeah, I think that's smart as well from Babyface. Even though we know that Asidia is one of the best top laners, since Cell is on a champion that will always be relevant, he can afford to leave the top lane on an island and really play around the lane that is winning for USD, and it has been working out so far.
And we did talk about the dynamic where for TUP's side, the top lane is where they center on the victory. Winner for UST, it's the bot lane. We're seeing it right now. Look at the results here. I mean, the stats right now for CS, Asidia on an 83 CS lead compared to Cell, because he was forced to respond in the bot lane.
Yeah, there is a CS lead, but thinking about this game, who has been more relevant, who has had a bigger impact? It's the Shen, it's the Stand United. Regardless of the CS difference, UST is ahead. So this lead really doesn't matter until Asidia can start split pushing, but he's not at that point yet. So now we're transitioning into 10 minutes into the game. So far, things have slowed down a bit because in the first few minutes, we saw UST constantly going for aggressive trades. Now I think they've slowed down a bit and really abusing their lead because TUP is scared to step forward here. They can just freeze the lane, get all the CSD lead, and deny a bit from TUP.
I mean, we're seeing that Goldie ramping up slowly, and the kill score is just showing that of a small summary of what's happening. And seeing all that gold concentrated onto a Spiegel, this is very dangerous for TUP. At least they know who to target. They have the lockdown. The Alistar is there, the Sejuani, plus not to mention the Galio, who does have the taunt and the global ultimate.
I see a lot of pings going down on the Infernal Drake from TUP. I think they saw that Babyface was around topside, so they could have afforded to lay down vision in that area, possibly challenge this objective if UST go for that. And I think that could be a window if they find a good engage, able to chain CC a carry. I think that might be a window for TUP to come back in this game.
And for TUP to come back into this game, it's not that far from reality because for TUP, they still have what it takes to bounce back into this game. It's still very early to say what's going to happen, but judging by the actions that have been happening around the map, you can say that for UST and TUP, they really want to show their talent. They want to show what they're made of already. I mean, very early to the game, we're seeing a lot of action.
Yeah, and I really like the aggression from UST. Hindi na sila nag-aantay na they're not letting TUP make plays. They're forcing the issue and really just trying to get as many fights as they can because they have the stronger early game comp and they're really abusing that fact.
So when it comes to the mid to late game, does TUP have a better chance?
I mean, they have stronger team fight in my opinion. They have the Sejuani, they have the Galio, and a lot of these tanks can really help the Varus survive. And if the TUP are able to reach that point where they're near equal items with UST, I think they can definitely team fight versus them.
But also for Acedia, he's very known for his outplays, especially split pushing with that Gnar. If ever Acedia does help the team fights, but normally we would always see Acedia on the sidelines pressuring them and really securing that pressure, get the objectives down and the turrets.
Yeah, but since no turrets have fallen down yet, I really don't think Acedia has that luxury to split push it. He needs to get out of lane to be the relevant split pusher that Gnar is.
So to the viewers out there, how are you liking the LVL finals right now? Because for our first ever LVL championship at stake here, I'm pretty sure for our two teams that have made it this far, they really deserve that spotlight and the praise from all their players out there.
Yeah, they really deserve this because they've worked so hard to reach this point of the LVL, but of course only one team can win when so far it is UST closer to the finish line, but it's still game 1, Vulcan. It's a best of 5. They need to win 3 games in order to win. So, marami-rami pa until umabot tayo dun.
A lot of things are still at stake here when it comes to the early phase of the game because momentum is at stake here in a way that you want to have a good start and a good finish. But who knows? We're not strangers to reverse sweeps.
Yeah, and I like the point that I like the thing that you pointed out about momentum, and now we have a pause. This could really break UST's momentum because like you're rising up and then biglang titigil kayo from playing. It can really cool you down because all your adrenaline is rushing and it helps you probably perform better in game. And it also gives TUP a chance to reset and recuperate after the deficit that they are in.
But the deficit that TUP has, I don't think is a huge obstacle because all the goal is falling onto Espigil's hands. And Espigil is known to play more calculative than Carrots and more, he knows the risk. So he tries to calculate the lesser risk scenarios and it's really working, especially when we saw when the Stan United was channeled into the bot lane. That was TUP falling into the traps of UST.
Yeah, that was definitely trust right there for UST. Like, he knew that Cell had his back, so he wasn't afraid to step forward even though the Sejuani was there coming in for the gank. He knew Stan United was available, so I trust my top laner. Why not go aggressive?
So to everyone out there, sorry for the pause. We are experiencing some technical difficulties. So there'll be a short pause there. We'll resume after it has been solved. But right now, whoever is rooting for your team right there, we hope that you're having a good time here. And who knows, let everyone know on social media of how you feel about the LVL finals.
Yeah, of course. I'm still very excited to see how this will turn out. I mean, it is a very historic day for collegiate esports, Vulcan, and the LVL. Only 2 teams remain. It is the final, and I just want to get this over with. I don't want to get back into the game.
I mean, I'm pretty sure that you're excited, but for the viewers, the fans are more excited. But the players, I feel like they will be the ones to be on edge here. Because, I mean, when it comes to the first game, it's the time of the feeling out process. And when we move to game 2 and 3, that's the time we can see some adjustments.
Yeah, of course, in a best of 5, you definitely have to adapt, especially once you see what strategies your opponents are tossing at you. You need to adjust to them and probably ban out some stuff, pick away some stuff in the next game. And yeah, I think, like you mentioned, you really need to adapt in a best of 5.
And this LVL Finals is brought to you by Garena in partnership with Ayala Mall Cinemas. And we would like to thank our sponsors. Sponsored by Lenovo, Intel, Globe Gamer, Globe Business, and Movie Snack Bar.
Yeah, have you tried the snack bar, Vulcan?
I did. It's pretty good. And I think for the tickets right now, there is actually a promo for everyone who does have the ticket. And if you're feeling a bit hungry or feeling a bit, you want to take a breather, make sure you use your ticket because there is a special discount when you go to the Movie Snack Bar.
Can we get snacks?
I'm pretty sure we can, but after the break, when we
But
move on to the
popcorn.
game, let's get some popcorn because I think this will be a long day for the players and for the viewers who are waiting to see who will be crowned the first LVL champions.
And it's definitely being a long day for the players, Adam, because I know everyone has dealt with technical issues in the past, and this can be very frustrating, especially for the players playing on stage. A lot of pressure on them, a lot of the spotlight, and yeah, like we mentioned previously, once you stop that build-up, once you stop that momentum, it could really hurt your mentality.
You know what I see when it comes to when we go back to the game, when it comes to the mid to late games, I think things will look very, very exciting because we're seeing champions like Sejuani, Galio, Anar. These are huge champions that can make the play makes and also mechanically, difficult champions.
Yeah, but speaking of playmaking, I do believe we have a replay of that fight with Spiegel in the bot lane. I think we're going to head into that right now, and this is pure aggression from UST. I mean, Lucian dashing forward in front of the Alistar under tower. That's super aggressive. And see now, Spiegel isn't afraid because he knows Stand United is available. He
Look at
trusts that his top laner can save him. And regardless of Zach, I mean, he's still level 5 on the Sejuani. Not enough damage, not enough lockdown. And UST absolutely turned this fight.
Despite the teleport being cancelled here, at least Asidia was able to get back the cooldowns. But yes, that's again trust and also the fact that you have to respect the level 6 of the Shen. And despite that huge hiccup in the bot lane, I don't feel like for you TUP, they're faced by that. They can still try and check it off, and it's just still early into the game. No first turrets, no Drake just yet.
Yeah, no Drake, there's no objectives falling down just yet, but given that UST have been the more proactive team, I really wouldn't be surprised to see them be more aggressive once the game does resume and really just snowball the lead that they have.
So who do you think when it comes to the late game has a better composition? Is it really TUP or does UST, they'll go for the short game? They will try to end it as fast as they can.
I think at some point here, UST will get outscaled. They wouldn't have enough damage on the core lane Lucian to break through the tank line that TUP has. And once late game comes, TUP has 2 win conditions. They have a lot of team fight potential with the Galio and Sejuani and the Alistar as well. And they also have the split push option if they don't want to team fight. Use the Narius, Asidia's advantage over the Shen in a side lane matchup and work towards that. But until TUP are able to reach that point, they're in a very difficult spot.
They need to survive the bot lane aggression, especially Navi and his support, because when it comes to Spiegel, he's really going in hard on this Lucian. But for top lane, yes, same goes for the Gnar we're seeing right now against the Shen. He is really having a hard time, especially Cell. At least he is more impactful when it comes to, let's say, side lane pressure, going for the Stand United to help out the team.
I mean, to be fair, I think for Cell in this matchup, he's definitely gonna have a hard time. He got the short end of the stick, practically laning versus Asidia, one of the best top laners, and UST did give him a champion. He can stay relevant on even though he is behind in gold, even though he's behind in items. All the Shen really needs to do is have his Stand United up, and his team will be happy.
So if that's the case for Cell and for TUP's side, they can just play around the cooldown then. It's that easy to read in a way.
Yeah, it is that easy to read. It is that straightforward. But it's if you don't play around that, you're gonna be in such a deficit.
You're gonna be in a really bad spot, like we saw in the replay in the bot lane. And to see that much coordination and cooperation and trust among the teams, I think that's why UST and TUP, they have made it this far, being one of the best teams out of the 7 teams that joined the LVL. The pioneering schools that joined here has fallen, and only TUP and UST remains, and the 1 slot remains for the LVL championship.
Yeah, but of course, only one team can make history today by winning this best of 5. It's either UST Teletargets or TUP Monster Velcro the GM. So, man, this game so far, UST has been playing very, very well. I really wouldn't be surprised to see them just constantly play the aggressor.
And when it comes to the aggression, we do see that all in the bot lane. But for the mid lane, for the matchup with the Corki and Galio, it's really difficult for TUP's mid lane.
It's very difficult in a sense where Galio doesn't have any kill pressure. You really can't deal with a Corki just constantly shoving the wave in your face, and you're practically forced to just wave clear versus the Corki. And Corki gets a free lane. He gets to farm to his items, gets to hit his power spikes, and if you're UST, once the Corki hits his power spikes like a Trinity Force and an Infinity Edge, you really need to play around that power high for the Corki and try and end the game there before TUP can get enough resistances to deal with the damage that Corki provides.
It's also the fact that after that fiasco in the mid lane, he was able to pick up the call and the long sword. So you can see that for the Corki, he's really being confident in his matchup against the Galio.
I mean, there's no need for the Corki to get the Hex Leaker in this matchup because, like we mentioned, Galio not enough damage regardless of the ignite. I think the Galio really doesn't provide any kill pressure in the mid lane unless you chain it with a visit from your jungler.
Who knows? We will see some intervention coming from Za, TUP's jungler. So we don't know. We do know that for Za, as you said, he was one of the shotguns for TUP, also playing around Acidia. So maybe when you load back into the game, we will see some adaptation, some changes coming from TUP to try and make the score even and try and bounce back into this LVL championship for our first game. This is the best of 5 series. It's still really a long road ahead before we are clear to see who will win the overall match, because let's say you have a good game 1, yes, but in game 2 and game 3, you can see that these teams will quickly adapt, especially for TUP's side. They have experience. UST, they're no strangers to collegiate esports. That's why they've made it this far.
Yeah, but that's also why TUP have made it this far. And let's go back to the point you made where Za is the shot caller for TUP. Maybe during this pause, he can talk to his team and really try and reset their minds because they are behind. And being behind, you might be a bit down. I think it's up to Za here to lift their spirits and try and cheer them up.
So, who knows? It's still too early. I mean, you may feel bad, but for the viewers out there, we are actually experiencing a very long pause. So, malay mo, CR break muna, if ever.
Kain muna tayo.
Kain muna tayo. Maybe go to the movie snack bar and pick up your snacks. If you haven't picked up any, or you haven't used the code itself with your ticket. So, that's actually a huge bonus here so that you can enjoy the finals with a good snack and just relax with your friends, cheer on to your team, cheer on to your school.
I mean, marami kang pwedeng gawin sa pause na Vulcan.
Like what?
Kumain, matulog, basa ka siguro ng libro, usapin mga kaibigan mo, send ka ng memes sa GC niyo, mga bagay na ganun, I don't know.
I would love to actually share the mga groups sa GC. Do you do that often?
Not when it's a bad meme. Just when it's a good meme.
So why don't you just send, instead of sending those memes to your friends, why don't you invite your friends who have not yet made it right now to Garena 4 Cinema 6 for the LVL finals? I mean, we still have a lot of things waiting here, but who can tell that it's still not too early to say?
Actually, I might invite them once the game goes back online because kapag sinabi ko, uy guys, punta kayo dito, tapos nood tayo LV, tapos dumating sila, tapos nakapause yung game. May inis lang sa akin yun eh. Baka hindi na sumipot sa susunod na imbitahan ko sila. So yeah, I think mas may incentivize sila if I invite them pag nag-start na ulit yung game.
So I think it's gonna start soon, Gisto, but for you to say that, I'm pretty sure your friends may feel a bit more annoyed at you, but for the
I have that effect on a lot of people.
You have a little effect on that people. I'm one of them, so I'm used to that. And for the viewers who are watching, I'm hopeful that you do understand that this is going to be a very difficult scenario for the players. They need to face a lot of challenges. The environment, also the fact that you are in a live event.
You're on stage. The spotlight is on you, like we mentioned earlier, and some players, they thrive in pressure, and I think that's one of the things that really separates good players from great players. I mean, the great ones, even though the spotlight is on them, dun sila gagaling. Like, it buffs them to play even better. Pero the good ones, they sort of go back and hide under pressure, and I think really that's one of the factors that differentiates them.
When it comes to, let's say, being the better person, they actually evolve themselves up. They try to be the better versions of themselves. I mean, this is character building. This is what I love about sports in general. And for esports, in college esports, we do see cooperation, teamwork happening amongst each other. And this is going to be a true test because one more match to go before we know who will be crowned the first ever LVL champion.
I mean, this pause is already a test for them. I mean, this is incredibly frustrating for the players. It's incredibly frustrating. I think I could relate to what they feel because all they need to do now is execute and play. But if you're in pause, you really can't do that.
At least when you're pause, you can still talk and maybe step back. Look at the bigger picture. Look what you're doing wrong. I think at this point, it's a matter of using what other difficulties you have and make it into good ones. I mean, bad scenarios, make it into good ones. That's adaptation from players.
Yeah, but we'll just have to wait and see once we get back into the game. And like I mentioned, nakakainis to para sa mga players, Vulcan. I mean, everyone really just wants to play League of Legends. I mean, I love playing League of Legends. Do you?
I do.
You do?
I mean, everyone right now, I think they do play League of Legends because
You wouldn't be here if you didn't.
hindi naman, malay mo, they're here to run on their friends. I mean, friends and family are here. This is a group effort. This is a family effort. I mean, if you have the support of your friends and family, it just makes it easier for you. Makes your heart a bit light. And you can really give it your all. Give it to your practice. Give it to your dedication here.
Yeah, I definitely agree with the point that you made there, where if you have the support of your loved ones, you'll definitely be able to perform better.
You sound so sad when you said that.
Why do you back into
Why do you sound so sad?
I don't know, man. Maybe nobody loves me.
Go on. Go
I
on.
don't want to go on. It's so depressing, man. It's so sad. Talk about that. I wanna talk about happy stuff. Let's go with you.
Happy stuff when we blow back to the game. Is that what you want? I mean, this is rather a really long pause we're facing, and honestly saying for the players, they should really be ready to face more and more challenges when it comes to outside environment.
Yeah, definitely. And since this is a best of 5, I mean, how many more of this can we go through? And like you mentioned, it's incredibly frustrating for everyone. Man, okay.
Medyo na wala yung mga salita mo, Chisto, ah.
Yeah, it's kind of difficult, to be honest.
It's difficult for us, it's difficult for everyone, but we still have to weigh things out. And I think finally the prayers have been answered. Let's get straight back to our game 1.
Actually, nagdadasal ako nun eh. During the moment where I wasn't talking
Did
to
you have a rosary on you then?
No. You don't need a rosary to pray, man. You just need to have faith, Logan.
So let's have a short recap before we get back to the game, because that was a rather long pause. What happened? We did see the replay happening in the bot lane. Kill score is still, yes, 5-1. Gold lead still in favor of the Teletigers, but now we're seeing some jump in the gold lead, nearing the 3,000 mark.
Yeah, and in that 3,000 gold lead, I think ngayon we're seeing it come into effect where UST already...
What's this? 3-man squad in. He's trying to buy some time, trying to pulverize him back, but it's going to be the tsunami to really lock them down.
Yeah, can they go for more here? And I think the Alistar will survive, and with that pick onto the AD carry...
Infernal Drake, perhaps?
Yeah, that will definitely be Infernal Drake. They're still waiting on it, though.
I'm maybe sure that maybe they want to push out the lanes first. You know, prep up the lane and go for less risk scenarios.
I think they're going for first tower here. I don't think Zhao will arrive in time to defend this. I think TUP will just have to back off here.
And that's a Jarman. He can just put that flag down for that extra attack speed to make it fast.
Yeah, and now with this first tower take, the goal lead will balloon even more for UST, and we're seeing it into effect now. Lucian already has his Blade of the Ruin King picked up. The Corki already has Trinity Force. The Shen already has Tiamat to deal with this push power of the Siege, but all in.
Look at that, all in by Asida, trying to really chunk down Cell. He may go for a dive here, Boomerang for the last hit, but the turret is trying to assist him, but no! It's going to be Asida to take everything.
Yeah, Spirit's Refuge did not come down in time to dodge the auto attacks coming from the Gnar, but after that little fight in the top lane, UST did secure Infernal Drake, and this will help their snowball even better now.
You know what's the worst part about this for TUP? The solo goal for the first turret, 650, went to Espigo.
Yeah, and that's big for Lucian, because Lucian does not deal the best late game damage as a marksman, as an AD carry, and given that he's this far ahead, only 13 minutes into the game, I think UST can really transition this into even more gold.
But it's at least for Asidia, he knows what he has to do. He's already pushing up the top lane. Now it's opened up. So the question is, how can TUP change and try and adapt to the aggression of UST? Getting the Infernal Drake, getting the first turret. These are all conditions for UST's really powerful mid-game.
Yeah, speaking of opening up, both teams have decided to rotate their lane. The Spiegel is now in the top lane. I think they will try and take the second tower of the game. Now, Cell is forced to deal with the Siege down in the bot lane. He already has his Bramble Vest, he already has his Tiamat, so it means that he's harder to kill and he can wave clear, match the push power that Gnar provides. Let's see though, how much pressure can Siege actually deal here, because he is in a winning matchup still. He already has his Black Cleaver. Now he really needs to push his advantages if TUP wants to come back.
And we're seeing some intervention tried by Sa here, because he's trying to go to the lanes here, trying to buy some time. But when it comes to the itemization of this Lucian, getting the Blade of the Rune King and the Phage, I think it's a start for him to build up to that Black Cleaver.
Yeah, and like I mentioned, Wilton, the goal lead is coming into effect for UST. They were able to reset, and now they got their first core items, and I really think this can transition into a great mid game for them because they do have champions that perform better at this stage of the game, and if we don't let TUP scale, I think they're going to be in a great position to take game 1.
For them to take away game 1, that's going to be great momentum for UST because at this point, if they keep playing this way, trying to end the game as fast as they can, because in the long run, they will get outscaled. So for UST, they will try and end the game perhaps maybe before the 30 minutes, or who knows, if they're really trying their hardest or trying to really close out the game and wrap it up to take away 1 point, they will try and go for big objectives. The Rift Herald is still available, and the Baron buff can spawn pretty soon.
Yeah, and I mentioned the mid game for UST, and one of their major win conditions is really abusing the advantage their champions already have once they get onto that point of the game. And if TUP are able to overcome that, that will be their window to come back. It's still a question though, can they hold on for how long maybe?
How long can they hold on? It's more in the test of endurance and the test of tenacity. If they're tenacious enough, they can try and hold back and wait for their time to fight back against UST.
I mean, they can try. They can definitely try. There's no question there. But yeah, it's still a question of can they execute towards it? Can they actually pull it off?
But before we move on to the game itself, we will have a short commercial break because due to the technical difficulties, we'll have a short commercial break and we'll see you right after that.
athlete is on the court. You can leave now. It's game time. Eat it. Rewind that, Zillion. I want to see it again.
Please speak directly into the microphone.
Too easy. Dunkmate! If there isn't any dunking, it isn't a sport.
Okay, mukhang babalik muna tayo sa laro Vulcan. And for a second there, medyo natakot ako because imagine kung na-remake tong laro na to, that would have been disastrous for UST kasi lamang nga sila, diba? And if the remake happens, that means TUP can reset and they won't be in this deficit.
So right now, let's get straight back to the game. But for the Tele Tigers, they're really not letting that phase them. Still focused and knowing what's at stake here. They are still relentless from the bot lane to the top lane. This is the same dynamic we're seeing.
Yeah, oh my God, did you see the damage onto the Alistair? That was one combo rotation from the Lucian. That was dash, 2 autos, Q and then 2 autos. It immediately chunked him, and if Miko didn't use his ulti right there, he would definitely have died.
Did you see that smooth play by the Lucian there? I mean, he knows the mechanics are right there, and we know this. But for UST, they need to try and maybe get more leads here because when it comes to the late game, TP does have a chance here. I see what's happening right here. We're seeing Sarah intervening, but for Asidia, he will finish him up. He still has the ultimate there. He will draw rock, but he's very low. Going to be chunked down by Sarah. Can he escape here?
In the
Flash
flash.
in, gets the stun, and sadly, he does get taken down.
Yeah, that is still a 1-for-1 trade in a 2v1 situation for Asidia, so no surprise that he's able to go for the outplay, but still Sarah is fed on this court. He's been given a free lane to farm. He already has around a 50 CS lead over his opponent. Given that the Corki does have the Trinity Force, one of his real core items, means that Asidia cannot go for that extended duel.
And now we're seeing from the top lane, TUP, they were in the top lane fiasco. Here, let's go to the replay.
And looking at this replay here, they actually caught out the Spiegel, and even though he had his summoners, he was CC locked for days. Like we mentioned previously, if you're able to be locked down by TUP, look at that, the combo, Glacial Prison, into the Galio ultimate, into the taunt. So much CC, even though Lucian is one of the most mobile AD carries in the game, there's really no way for him to escape.
And we're talking about the Sejuani's Glacial Prison and the Permafrost because when it comes to lockdown, TP has everything. So this makes it more exciting for us to watch because for UST, great start into the bot lane. But for TUP, they're ramping it up. They're now working as a squad.
Yeah, and I think that replay there shows the strengths of TUP's draft here. If they're able to get an engage like that onto a carry of UST, they can really, even though they're behind, they're still able to lock them down and take them out. So if TUP are constantly able to find these picks like that, they're going to be able to stall the game out and come back into even ground versus UST. But let's do note, UST are still ahead. They can still use this lead to push down towers.
But when it comes to, let's say, team fight, I have to agree with you when you said that TUP looks very scary going into the late game. But as of now for UST, they're still trying their best to fight things up. But what I'm really worried is for this Nara, this Asidia as a player, he would just continue to push the lanes and look at the amount of pressure he's doing against Cell.
Yeah, he looks unfazed regardless of Sarah and his early visit. Mukhang hindi na natatakot to si Asidia laban dito sa Shen. And wala naman siyang kailangang katakutan eh. Kahit na pumunta nga dun yung Corki, he's still able to trade 4 kills. But taunt under tower?
Not gonna do much. At least the Spirit's Refuge was there to deny some very little damage. But at least he's trying his best to delay the push coming from Asidia.
Yeah, they can delay it for he can only delay it for so long, but Zat does have his ultimate. Has snuck up a mid lane.
From now, the top lane is finished up. Now we're seeing a lot of action, a lot of rotation involving the bot lane. Why is that, Gisto?
Yeah, I think the reason why they rotated the Varus into the mid lane is so that he can get the farm faster. The minions will crash in the mid lane even soon, will arrive, so that means Navi can get more gold. And it's also to match the push that UST are trying to do. Since both of UST's solo laners took teleport, that means that they can play the side lanes where they can split push, really pressure TUP, really split them up. And if a fight does happen mid lane, the Shen and the Core can easily teleport in.
But even though they are split up, know that we're seeing a Galio and the Sejuani plus the teleport coming from Acidia. But when it comes to responding to danger, does UST have what it takes in case of mobility?
Yeah, they do. They have double teleport, like I mentioned, but like you said, TUP also has those tools. They have teleport and the Cydia up at the moment. They also have the Galio with the Hero's Edge, but there's an engage.
Grayson, lockdown onto one member there. That's going to be triple lockdown onto Gretcho. With one member down, teleport is coming in. Cell will join in the fight. We will see a lot of action. Babyface does lock him down with the Cataclysm. Nothing's happening there right now, but Cell does have the Spirit's Refuge, denying a lot of damage.
Yeah, kakatapos lang natin pag-usapan yung Vulcan na if a fight does break out in the mid lane, both teams can immediately collapse. Sige mo, sobrang bilis, diba? The moment that Crescio got engaged on, it was already 5 members after he died. In the end, it is TUP that come out on top. All their members are pretty low though, and Sarah's still full health. On this Trinity Force Story, can he get this?
He wanted to take down the turret, but still, it's still standing, and we're seeing TUP putting a stand here. They don't want to give it out just yet. We did also see where the Glacial Prison, once it hits the target, it's pretty much a death mark onto you because TUP immediately collapsed. Look, you saw that triple CC, the lockdown. Pressure couldn't move a muscle.
I also like that you mentioned the target that TUP went for. The target selection there was nice because it was the Nami, the probably squishiest champion on UST at the moment. And since she wasn't able to escape, no more Nami, no more protection basically for both Sarah and Espigo.
And when it comes to the high priority targets, you want to go for that Lucian. Spiegel playing on this champion. He has been snowballing into the bot lane, now to the top lane. Now we're seeing a slowdown here for TUP. We are catching up in kills. Let's check out the kill score. 7-5. We're nearing the 21-minute mark. So the Baron is alive right now. UST Tigers have 2 turrets. Same for TUP. But looking at that gold lead, we are still seeing a small lead by the Tigers.
Yeah, and even if the lead is small, I think this is still a scary situation for UST. Yes, they are ahead, but TUP have shown that they can team fight if TUP can constantly find these engages. Kapag tuloy-tuloy silang nakakuha ng mga nahuhuling members ng UST, I think that will definitely be their window to come back, and they're working towards that goal. Babyface though has started the Ocean Drake.
It's blind. They don't know what's happening right now, but they're seeing some movements. Spotted by a war. 3 members of UST show themselves to TUP. So this signals TUP. They know that they're taking away the Ocean Drake. Immediately, we're seeing some movements already now in the Baron Pit to try and secure some vision.
Yeah, and I think this is a smart move by TUP because they know most of the members are around the Ocean Drake area. They will secure the big objective on the map. They do have vision in that area, but I wouldn't be surprised to see UST work towards it and sweep vision and lay down vision of their own around the Baron.
We saw a lot of aggression, yes, from the mid lane. So Baam, he was really behind CS. We're seeing it right now, but he is stacking up that Roa. As time goes by, this will be a long game for TUP. So with that vision, they're really working towards for that lockdown that worked in the mid lane and also from the top lane.
Yeah, and you mentioned lockdown. Nearly all the members of TUP has one way to force a fight, has a way to engage onto the members of the Tigers, where for UST, you don't have that same luxury. What UST's comp lacks here is engage. They don't have that full-on hard CC. I mean, Jarvan jumping in, yeah, but TUP is just going to destroy him the moment he dives in. And if the Jarvan is gone, you don't have any ways to start fights. All you can really do is back off once TUP begins to run you down. And I think that lack of engage means that UST can't really snowball their advantages.
And speaking of snowball, check out Sarah's items. Trinity Force, Sorcerer's Boots, and the Infinity Edge. And not to mention, we're seeing Spiegel immediately picking up the QSS for the long run. But he can only cleanse out of 1 debuff. But looking at TUP's stacked up composition,
there's a million options for crowd control coming from
very
TUP.
difficult. They're pretty much stacked at this point.
Yeah, I don't think 1 QSS will be enough to save him. But yeah, going back to our previous point, I think the lack of engage coming from UST shows the weakness in their draft. Because if you're trying to snowball, you'd want to force more fights. But speaking of forcing fights,
I say they're trying to force a fight on to Sarah. Forces Cell to burn his Stand United.
and that is big for TUP. Even though that was a small trade, the Stand United bird means that there's less global pressure on TUP. Now, they have the luxury of forcing more fights, and they also still have their global. I want to mention Bam still has Galio ultimate, so if a fight does break out, he has that tool to respond to his team. But Look at top lane.
Facing against two members, he is immediately chunked down. He's eating up all the calling ult, and Spiegel takes him down.
Masterfully executed by Spiegler. All of the bullets of the culling actually landing onto Bam. His flash was not up yet, so that means the Galio will go down. I think the tower will fall shortly after.
You know what I love about TUP's Alistar? Check out that keystone. It's actually the Predator. So, speaking of hard engages, looks like TUP, they're pretty much confident here. Chain of Corruption will connect onto Threshold, but Miko goes in with a headbutt, does not look it up there, but immediately we're seeing some help coming from South with the prison. Members of TUP clumped up together, still comes in for the teleport for the save. There's the lockdown from the German, and Miko gets taken up by Spiegel. One member down with four members collapsing on to the TUP squad. UST Teletigers wins that fight.
Yeah, who needs hard engage when TUP is running directly at you? UST with a beautiful re-engage, the teleport coming from himself, and the taunt as well. Will that lead to UST taking the Baron? I don't think so.
They would go for a reset. They won't risk that much, but with that bait again, we're seeing the same situation we saw from the bot lane where for Spiegel, he did bait out TUP's bot lane with the Stand United. We saw it again right here.
Yeah, and that means the double globals. Regardless of Stand United being down, I forgot to take note that the teleport was up. Miko here, he successfully flashes over the tidal wave, but he messes up the combo, unfortunately. And now TUP is in full retreat here. UST, despite not having the best engage tools, they're able to use tools that they have to perfection here.
And look at Cell Spirit's record right on top with the Cataclysm. That is coordination we're seeing from the Teletigers.
Yeah, that was great coordination, but if you're UST, you would have wanted to translate that into an objective. They weren't able to get anything. It's actually just the Alistar falling down in the entirety of that fight. Now, since UST have gotten even more leads, they really need to translate those into objectives.
Those leads right now, in my opinion, won't really matter that much. Look at the timer. We are nearing the 26-minute mark. And seeing how the champions of TUP are scaling, they can still try and fight back and try and stand their ground. But I'm really scared for that Corki because you saw how much damage Sarah's dealing right now against Bam.
Yeah, the Corki definitely has a lot of damage, and for TUP, yes, you mentioned they do have a team fight advantage, but they can't afford to mess up the engages.
Oh, pick up there. That's the Valkyrie to help him escape. Immediately trades off with Miko taking down. There's the lockdown from Babyface, but the focus is on to Bam. He tries to buy time with a hero's entrance, but gets shocked. That's going to be the triple.
Yeah, and I think this time UST are gonna be able to take an objective after a one engage. Baron will definitely be going over to the UST Teletigers unless Navi wants the challenges, but that is definitely a suicide mission. Baron goes over to UST.
The first Baron of the game will go towards UST Teletigers.
Yeah, and will that Baron spell a game 1 win for them? Now they have the option to just constantly siege down these turrets, and with the champions they have, Vulcan, with the Corki, kapag nadikitan ni Sarah yung mga tower dyan, mawawala lang yan kagad.
Man, that Baron buff is going to be a huge buff for them, but let's have a breakdown on what happened here.
Yeah, Miko can't afford to get chunked out by a Corki like that, and the Glacial person missing means that UST have zero fears here. TUP just has to retreat. If you have tools to engage but you're only using them to run, that is bad news for your team, and with a triple kill onto the Corki, it did mean Baron.
Did you also see the tsunami of Threshold? Really positioning that well to knock up two members, sets up that triple kill.
Yeah, I don't think Miko is the predator in this game. I think he's actually become the prey of UST. They're definitely picking on this Alistar now. Let's see, can UST use this Baron to push down towers, because that is what they need.
Right now, they will eye the Ocean Ray. At this point, it's a free Drake, so why not take it away?
Yeah, free objectives are definitely good for the UST Teletigers, and like we mentioned, they need to start taking towers. They can't let this Baron buff time out because it's one of the largest win conditions for their team.
So the Baron buff in their hands. Oh, I see this step too close. Tsunami is there for a double lockdown with a Jarvis Cataclysm and a Love Prison. We're seeing a hero's entrance here. That's going to be a bad spot for Bam. facing against 4 members. Can his team respawn? They need to face the Teletigers right now in the bot lane, or it's over. That's the double kill for Espiegel, and then roaming it down bot lane. That's going to be Sarah joining the fight, but he's not needed. Espiegel is cleaning up the fight.
That is an ace for the UST Teletigers now with the Baron of 5 members alive. I think this will be game 1. There is nobody from TUP to defend.
One small mistake, and we see UST Teletigers winning this first game.
Yeah, at the end, it was Asidia unfortunately stepping too far forward, and after Asidia went down, the domino effect meant that UST were able to secure the game 1 victory. Good game, well played.
What a great start for UST Teletigers. This is going to be 1 point for them in the best of 5 series.
Man, and that is a huge momentum boost for the UST Teletigers, because in a best of 5, you definitely want to start on the right foot, and now 1-0 up versus TUP. TUP have some things that they really need to adjust.
And for the results of our game 1, we would like to take this time to congratulate UST Teletigers for taking away game 1, and I'm pretty sure the fans are happy right now with if they're rooting for their team. But for TUP, yeah, there it is, guys. That's the cheer for UST. So the momentum right now, I can sense it, is on their side. But for TUP, they will try and remedy what went wrong, and they would make a comeback.
Yeah, but of course, let's go ahead and talk about what went so right for UST. I think they really abused the fact that their champions were stronger in that mid game. Like we mentioned, Lucian, Corky, very snowbally champions. They did get the leads they needed, and they worked with these leads. The moment they got the Baron buff, that was really the final nail in the coffin for TUP.
And for TUP, yes, the smallest mistakes, especially the fact that they're on a composition to really going for the engaged fights, and they can escape effectively as they can engage on the enemy.
Yeah, and one more player I want to credit from the UST Teletigers is Cell, given that he had the difficult matchup in the Gnar versus the Shen. The fact that he was able to survive that and really hold Asidia down is just a huge boost of confidence for him, given that he is laning versus one of the best, if the not one of the best top laners in collegiate esports.
So guys, I think that would settle it for game 1. We'll be back after a short commercial break. We'll be moving on to game 2 of the best of 5 series. We have been the Shoutcasters. My name is Vulcan. With me was Chisto. After the short commercial break, we'll resume on to game 2.
Oh, action bot lane.
Ranger. He does get the outcome presence. Cat is low on health. He's still willing to risk his life. Flashes in for the stun, but Spiegel is fighting back. Low on health. Ignite is ticking. He still survives. Stand United comes in for the help. Sa tries to back away, but Cell is here.
Teleport, yeah, you're up at the moment. We also have the Galio with the UST, but it's engaged.
Prison lockdown of the 1 member there. That's going to be triple lockdown of the Corrector. With 1 member down, teleport is coming in. Cell will join in the fight. We will see a lot of action. Babyface does locking down with a character. And nothing's happening down right now, but Cell does have the spirit refuge denying. But immediately receives some help coming from Cell with the prison. Members of TUP clumped up together. Cell comes in for the teleport for the save. There's the lockdown from the tournament, and Miko gets taken up by Spiegel. 1 member down with 4 members collapsing on to the TUP squad. UST Teletigers wins that fight. Valkyrie to help it escape, immediately takes off. Will Miko taking down, there's the lockdown from Babyface, but the focus is on to Bab. He tries to buy time with the hero's entrance, but gets chopped. That's going to be the... We're seeing the hero's entrance here. That's going to be a bad spot for Bab. Facing against 4 members. Can his team respawn? They need to face the Teletigers right now in the bot lane, or it's over. That's the double kill for Espiegel, and then rolling it down bot lane. That's going to be Sarah joining the fight, but he's not needed. Espiegel is cleaning up the fight.
That is an ace for the UST Teletigers now with Asidia unfortunately stepping too far forward, and after Asidia went down, the domino effect meant that UST were able to secure the game 1 victory. Good game, well played.
What a great start for UST Teletigers.